As I embarked on what was intended to be a peaceful hike through the woods, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss the moment I stepped off the trail. The silence enveloped me in an unnaturally thick embrace, and the shadows appeared to loom closer, almost as if they were intentionally encroaching upon me. Despite this uneasy sensation, I remained resolute in discovering the ideal spot for my afternoon picnic. As I made my way along the winding path, I couldn't help but notice a disconcerting pattern. My footprints seemed to vanish behind me. Initially, I dismissed it as a figment of my imagination, but as I continued to walk, it became increasingly clear that the forest was erasing any evidence of my presence. As I ventured through the serene forest, the dappled sunlight created a tranquil atmosphere. A shiver ran down my spine, prompting me to quicken my pace. I yearned to discover a peaceful clearing, where I could lay out my soft checkered blanket, bask in the tranquility, and savor my flavorful lunch. However, the further I delved, the more the trees encroached upon me, their long stretching shadows casting an ominous atmosphere. Amidst the rustling of the undergrowth, my heart leaped into my throat, and I froze, every nerve on high alert. I scanned the area for the source of the sound, but found nothing but an eerie silence and fading footprints. Taking a deep breath to calm my racing heart, I continued, my senses heightened, my eyes darting from side to side. The surroundings seemed to transform, becoming increasingly unfamiliar with each step. The path I had been following had disappeared, replaced by a dense, foreboding part of the forest. The towering trees surrounded me, their ancient branches twisting and stretching toward the sky like skeletal fingers. The air hung heavy and still, creating an eerie silence that disoriented me. I stopped, attempting to gain my bearings, but the more I looked around, the more lost I felt. There were no signs of the trail, and I needed an indication of which direction I had come from. The realization that I was lost hit me like a ton of bricks. Panic began to well up inside me as I frantically searched for any sign of an escape route. With every step I took, the forest seemed to close around me, the shadows growing darker and the air growing thicker, almost suffocating. My heart pounded in my chest and my palms sipped with sweat. Suddenly a faint rustling sound echoed in the distance. I froze, straining to hear more. The sound grew louder and I could feel my heart racing as the noise source drew nearer. I knew I should run, but fear had rooted me to the spot, rendering my legs as heavy as lead. With growing horror, I watched as a dark shape emerged from the shadows, slowly taking form. It was a creature, a monstrous being, unlike anything I had ever seen. The creature was a terrifying sight to behold. Its massive body was covered in thick, matted fur, giving it a fearsome and imposing presence. As it prowled through the dimly lit forest, its eyes seemed to glow with a sinister intelligence, sending a chill down my spine. The creature's wide-open jaws revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth that glistened in the faint light, and its bone-chilling roar echoed through the air, filling me with a sense of dread. With each powerful stride, the creature navigated the uneven terrain with an unsettling grace. I found myself rooted to the spot, unable to move as fear gripped me, making it difficult to think clearly. In a moment of panic, a desperate idea crossed my mind. If I could erase my footprints, perhaps the creature would lose track of me. Without a second thought, I turned and sprinted through the dense undergrowth, my heart pounding in my chest. The forest floor seemed to blur beneath my feet as I frantically searched for an escape route. Behind me, the creature let out a menacing snarl and thundered after me, its hot breath on the back of my neck and its growls echoing through the trees, filling me with an overwhelming sense of terror. I sprinted through the dense forest, each breath feeling like fire in my lungs and my legs protesting with every step. But I was determined not to give in to the overwhelming exhaustion. Escaping this nightmarish situation was my only goal, and I was willing to do whatever it took. As I ran, I couldn't help but notice that my footprints were swiftly vanishing behind me, a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of my chance for survival. Utilizing the terrain's natural contours, I skillfully maneuvered through the obstacles, trying to put as much distance as possible between me and the relentless creature that pursued me. Its thunderous footsteps reverberated through the underbrush, signaling its unyielding pursuit. I was fully aware that I couldn't maintain this pace indefinitely. When despair threatened to consume me, a dim light flickered in the distance, piercing through the dense foliage like a beacon of hope. It was a gap in the trees, a potential escape route. Drawing upon every reserve of strength, I propelled myself forward, my every fiber urging me to reach the tantalizing opening. As I approached the light, the creature's hot breath seemed to scorch the back of my neck, a constant reminder of its proximity. In a split-second decision, I veered sharply to the side, vanishing into the thick tangle of vegetation. The beast, anticipating my continued trajectory, thundered past me, its massive form tearing through the surrounding trees in its relentless pursuit. I clutched my chest, feeling the erratic thumping of my heart against my ribcage as I held my breath and waited for the creature to discern its mistake. To my astonishment, it continued, its deafening roars gradually fading into the distance as it vanished into the dense forest. Trembling with relief, I cautiously emerged from my concealment, my eyes flicking nervously in all directions. The aperture I had glimpsed was just a stone's throw away, and I knew this was my golden opportunity to flee. Without a second thought, I bolted, my footsteps reverberating through the yielding earth as I sprinted toward the beckoning light. Upon bursting through the trees, I found myself in a small clearing, bathed in the soft, dappled sunlight filtering through the canopy above. I stopped abruptly, gasping for air, my gaze sweeping the area for any trace of the creature. But there was nothing, just the serene tranquility of the forest. I exhaled deeply, my shoulders slumping as the adrenaline slowly ebbed away. I had made it, but at what cost? As I scanned my surroundings, I couldn't help but notice that my footprints had once again vanished without a trace. The forest seemed to have swallowed them whole, erasing any sign of disturbance. A shiver ran down my spine, and I knew I couldn't linger here for long. Swiftly I gathered my belongings and set off, my eyes darting from side to side as I scoured for any indication of the creature. The further I ventured, the more the forest appeared to transform, the trees becoming less densely packed and the shadows less menacing. As I ventured deeper into the forest, the sound of my footsteps was gradually drowned out by an eerie silence. It felt as though unseen eyes were following my every move, and a sense of unease began to settle in the pit of my stomach. I hastened my pace, desperate to put as much distance as possible between myself and whatever unseen presence lurked in the shadows. Finally, after what seemed like an interminable journey, I emerged from the dense foliage, the familiar crunch of gravel under my feet, providing a welcome respite. Exhaustion washed over me, and I couldn't help but release a heavy sigh of relief. However, as I cast a lingering glance back at the forest, a palpable disquiet enveloped me. What kind of creature had I encountered in those forbidding woods? And why had my footprints inexplicably vanished? The mere thought sent a shiver down my spine, a stark reminder of the sinister entity crossing my path. As I returned to my car, I couldn't shake the lingering fear that the creature might still lurk in the shadows, biding its time for its next unsuspecting victim. The notion sent a chill down my spine, and I vowed never to venture into those woods again. The memory of the creature's glowing eyes and menacingly sharp teeth continued to haunt me, casting a long shadow over my thoughts. If ever faced with a similar situation, where my footprints started to inexplicably fade away, I resolved to heed the warning signs and swiftly escape. In the heart of that unforgiving forest, a malevolent presence lay in wait, and I harbored no desire to tempt fate by crossing its path once more. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more spine-chilling tales. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest videos. I'd love to hear your thoughts. so leave a comment below and share your scary encounters. Also, consider joining the Fear Frequencies community for exclusive perks and early access to new content. Your support helps us create even more thrilling stories. And if you really enjoyed it, please consider leaving a super thanks.